Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for February 24, 2023, the Just Say No to Drag Shows edition. And we begin with this story from Reuters. The state of Tennessee is taking the lead in efforts to restrict drag shows. Yes, indeed. The state of Tennessee, in the middle of this wave of political insanity, has moved to create a bill which will restrict drag shows. You can bet the next will be to ban drag shows because, baby, we've come a long way. So, shout out to the state of Tennessee for equaling the state of Texas in proposing the stupidest laws ever. Next up, first of 2 articles from the Financial Times, unfortunately behind a paywall, but the CEO of Eskom, the South African power monopoly, has been fired immediately because of his criticism of the corrupt government in South Africa. Now, this was after he was an alleged attempt to kill him with cyanide-laced coffee. So I guess if you can't kill him, you just fire him. So his criticism implicated senior politicians of the ruling ANC in corruption that has exacerbated the country's worst ever rolling blackouts. You think that corruption not only doesn't pay, but can threaten your life and actually get you fired. So, as the ANC said, a live wire has been touched and the board succumbed to political influence to remove him. I'm sorry, not the ANC said that, but another correspondent from South Africa. Next up, how about those due diligence checks in the UK as the Russian warlord who runs the Wagner Group, notorious in the Ukrainian war, was able to submit his mother's electric bill to get him passed for due diligence on UK money laundering checks. So shout out to the law firm of a discreet law who in 2021 requested identification documents and was given his mother's electric bill. That's a heck of a due diligence. And finally, from the Ohio Capital Journal, literally the best source for the Householder trial. Apparently, after taking $500,000 in bribes, Larry Householder has tried to characterize those as loans, of which there was no documentation, no payback date, and indeed, it was never intended that the monies ever be repaid. So it wasn't a bribe, it was a loan. You go, Larry. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.